We need forests. Let it be a small house. There also on the rooftop, you need to have forests. Agriculture is almost extending these days. People talk about intensive agriculture, better productivity. Without people's support, we can do nothing.
We're talking about the importance of forest. When I talk about this sustainable development goals, which almost followed this Millennium Development Goal, somewhere I understand, right? Though we have 17 goals, each and every goal has a relevance with the conservation of the nature. Say, for example, be it the climate change, life on land, the life on water. Even when I talk about the zero hunger, right? So no poverty, etc. I have somewhere I understand it has a very close link with the preserving the nature as such. Right. Somewhere they very strongly say that it means if at all if you want a nation to be economically developed, right, it has to be socially developed first. If it has to be socially developed, right, the nature has to be preserved for the same. So somewhere I understand the importance of preserving the nature for the eventual economic development of the nations. In that regard, generally there is a saying, right, to have a sustainable development, they advocate that 33% of the land area should be a forest cover. But when I talk about India, what we have is somewhere slightly less than 22% if my statistics is right. Right. And somewhere I'm just seeing the positive side, though the increase is marginal, but we are going for the actual amount of increase in the forest lands. Right, sir. So somewhere, out of curiosity, I'm just asking, right, how long it will take for a country like India to reach that 33%? Right, this is number one. Right, sir. And what is the responsibility of a citizen in maintaining this forest cover of India, sir?
Yeah, thank you. I think you have put everything nicely. Sustainable Development Goal Agenda 2030 is a very important, ambitious goal. But it is doable, achievable with the people's participation. As you rightly said, there are 17 goals. It follows the Millennium Development Goal. And I would say in short that all the success of all these 17 goals depends on the way you handle your natural resource management. Maybe no poverty, no hunger, or life below water, life above water, you call it climate action. Everything can become successful. Or sustainable cities when you talk of equity, and all these goals are somewhere related to natural resource management. Sustainable natural resource management is what I would say. So I always say that 12 to 13 goals are dependent on the way you manage your resources, the water. See, that's why I say forests are so important today for food security, wood security, livelihood security, your hunger, poverty alleviation. So all this, basically rural development mostly revolves around well-managed forest resources. So to answer your question, yes, the forests are important, very, very important, because today in the era of climate change, the pandemics that we're witnessing, it is important that people participate. There is, we know that even urban forestry today, we need forests. Let it be a small house. There also on the rooftop, you need to have forests, vertical gardens. Agriculture is almost extending these days. People talk about intensive agriculture, better productivity. Agroforestry policy 2014 has been announced, and a lot of work is going on. So there needs to be coordination between departments, and this is where officers play a pivotal role in bridging the relationship between departments, bridging the relationship with people. Gone are the days of very strict what is called as policing forestry. Today we have moved into a total participatory approach in the last 2 decades. Without people's support, we can do nothing. So everybody has to be handheld, and we have to take them along to see that the natural resource, the so-called 33% is made. And of course, the challenge of 33% is possible, because we know that as days go, forests per se, increasing forests per se becomes difficult. That is notified forest. But then we have to increase the tree cover, which is easily possible. That is how we have trees outside forest is a very important element, where you need agroforestry comes in, farm forestry, social forestry, homestead forestry, then bund planting, LA forestry, all these things wherein trees have to be inducted. Silvihorticulture. Now, we also have today a lot of forestry models are available where trees can be put in, dovetailed in all the work that you do. We have school fruit gardens, which we are doing. I am at the moment the president of also an organization called OISCA, a Japan-based international organization, where we try to talk on these fundamentals to youth. Our philosophy being youth empowerment. We really feel that women and youth will have to be taken in a large way, particularly the college students, the school students, and a lot of initiatives are being done by the forest department to take the students along. And not only just the forest department, the administration overall in every district sees that these good value systems are passed on to the schools. We have medicinal garden in almost all the schools today, and then students are taken on nature trips. Awareness becomes very, very important. That is how I find, along with science of forestry, the research and the extension elements also becomes very important. Outreach and awareness becomes important. So therefore, the forester or the young person who is going to come in has to be a combo personality, and that is how he has to become a jack of all trades. It is very important, and nothing like a master of none. He is a master of everything and a jack of everything. That's what is expected of true forester. And meeting challenges, talking to people, bringing everybody on board for conservation success and gains. So this 33% we try to achieve through a lot of TOF, trees outside forest, maybe farmlands, and talking to farmers, convincing them about trees. See, for example, today, silvi-horticultural plantations, very good. It's a win-win situation where you have trees, where you have horticulture crops, so the farmer also would definitely like to have. And then have a little bit of other agriculture crops, a bit of agriculture crops also in between. So overall, prosperity levels, income levels also increase. Ultimately, the aim is to see that there has to be everybody is prosperous, they live in harmony with nature, the coexistence is peaceful and sustainable. That's the objective, and I think this is where forester's role comes.
Right, so fantastic. So I have learned that it means agriculture should also be increased, forestry should also be increased, but generally there is a saying that they do not normally coexist. Because normally we studied that it means removing the forest land, they go for this agricultural cultivation, right? If at all they want to extend the farmland, it is at the cost of forest land. But as you said, that the best answer to this we have today in form of what? Social forestry or agroforestry in general, right? And I've also taken a very key point when you said that almost consolidation says an IFoS officer is more like master of all trade and jack of none. This is how this proverb should be changed as such. Right. Now, since we're talking about this IFoS officers, right, how exactly is roles and responsibility gets almost elongated as he climbs the ladders?
Yeah. See, at the district level, when the young officer joins, he is more an implementing officer. He's an implementing authority because there are a lot of forestry programs at the district level. And so this person is expected to be implementing all the programs successfully. We have a number of Government of India programs, centrally sponsored programs, state-sponsored programs, that is state government programs. Sometimes there are also international, like the JICA-funded program, the World Bank projects are there. So this particular person has to go around along with this team of range officer, forester, guard, and see that these programs are successfully implemented. And these programs could be afforestation, restoration of degraded forests. It could be on building water bodies, sustaining resources inside, and also to see that all the wildlife is kept in harmony. So these are all the issues that he has to see. So he's also a small-time decision maker. He has to be innovative. He has to be creative as a DFO at the initial level, as I told you, Assistant Conservator and DFO. So then he's always guided by the conservator who sits above him, and the conservator probably guides young officers, handholds them, and then tries to tell them, because of his experience of 8 to 10 years in the field, he knows how to really, because our hierarchy of the forest department is so well established and it's so wonderful, I should say. Everybody supports each other so very well, and then the team works fantastically in the field. So at the conservator's level, because he's at the regional level, he's a monitoring officer of all the programs, he's a guiding officer, he's also facilitating and supporting in a very big way all the programs, because he has 4 or 5 DFOs to handle, and that's the way he does. Now then, as you move up from the conservator to the chief conservator and the additional principal chief conservator, they again get into more into state level issues. For example, the additional principal chief conservators and the principal chief conservator are into policy initiation. The principal chief conservators of various wings of the department, like the social forestry, or there are people who handle programs and projects, or there are people who handle protection, additional PCCF, there are certain PCCFs who handle planning. So they are all into policy issues. They also see that there's proper flow of finance, proper flow of guidelines to the officers implementing things in the field, and then they facilitate good things. The principal chief conservator, the head of the forest force, who's the head of the department, liaises with the government, liaises with the department, the secretary, forests and environment, and ensures that there is enough financial flow, there is enough government orders coming on time, so that everything flows smoothly, because we have annual targets for all these programs, and these annual targets have to be implemented. There are also sometimes JICA projects or World Bank projects which are all 5 years to 6 years to 8 years these days. So every year there are targets. So from the initial age he is more an implementing officer. Then as you move up, you become a policy and a facilitating officer, and a connecting link between the government, the what is called as the executive. All these things are the roles played by the forester ably at all levels of his hierarchy.